Going to cover a couple of things in this episode that are going to fill in some of the blanks for those of you that are out there that have yet to make your decision on whether or not you should vote for one or the other. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name's Sterling. I'm your host. I'm going to open with a clip that I got from a podcaster, Jasmine Lane, I believe her name is. I forgot to get the link, so I'm saying it out loud right now. And she had an interview with both Mr. and Mrs. Poilievre. And in that interview, Mrs. Poilievre said something that I thought would be very important or very pertinent to many of you out there who are of a certain demographic, mostly women under the age of 40. Because two things, really. One of them is that most of you tend to make up your mind the last minute, like these are what the science says. And the other thing is that you're being bombarded with a bunch of things that might not be factually accurate. So I thought it was good to maybe let you see something coming from the mouth of Mrs. Poilievre herself, rather than to be told by various groups what everybody is like, so you could hear it firsthand on your own in an effort to help you make the decision that is going to help you fix the remainder of your life. And I'll get clear to that once I allow Ms. Poilievre to say her piece.
I just want to jump in on this one because you said, you use the word misconception and you talk about women. Mm-hmm. And this one really, truly affects me because I'm a conservative woman. I'm proud. I'm strong. I'm an independent woman, independent thinker. I have no issues with that. And if you look at the people that Pierre surrounds himself with, our deputy leader, she's a woman. She's openly a member of the LGBTQ community. Our campaign manager, she's a strong woman. Everybody knows who she is. I'm here, right by Pierre's side. This started when Pierre became the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. He asked me to introduce him. And I wasn't even sure that I wanted to do that. But he celebrated me, and he just said, you're such a great speaker, you're part of this, and he put me out there. So as a conservative, my husband has been promoting women that deserve to be promoted, celebrating women that deserve it. Meanwhile, when you look at the Liberal Party, what they did to Jody Wilson-Rayl, Jane Philpott. So it really, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it really frustrates me that there's this misconception, because at the end of the day, we believe in meritocracy, and that is the difference. So yes, we have women, he surrounds himself with women, but not because they're women. Yeah. It's because they're kick-ass and they're really good at what they do. And I mean, here I am, I'm a strong, independent woman, and my husband is not hiding me in a kitchen like people will think that that's what we stand for. And I'm a pro-choice, and I've made that clear too. And here I am, I'm a conservative.
Now, I appreciate that Mrs. Poilievre said, what she said, she speaks, for herself. If you go back and you look at that clip, you'll see that Mr. Poilievre didn't bat an eyelash when she jumped in to speak, when she said, I just have something to say, when I'm offering my own opinion. She didn't have to get his opinion. She didn't wait for the camera to be turned off. She didn't pre-approve it or any of the foolishness that you might be running through your mind over people who are on the conservative side of the aisle and how females or women behave and are treated on the conservative side of the aisle. I think that a lot of times we try to conflate these traditional values with the Hollywood version of a wife that, stays in the house and all of that stuff. Now, there are plenty of conservative people out there that have wives that stay at home. But this idea that they don't have their own opinion, that is so far from reality. So even if you say to yourself that that's, the position that a conservative female likes to take, it's nowhere in there is there this idea that she doesn't have her own 2 cents worth. That's just ridiculous. That's absurd for a whole host of reasons, which I will not cover here. What I want to talk about is just what you saw there, just the body language. Now, if you follow Pierre Poilievre's rallies, you'll see that he's very attentive when he gets off the bus with Mrs. Poilievre. He always, she's always right there. He puts her in front of him half the time. So where they're trying to tell you that they're going to take away female rights and all the foolishness that they're trying to pump into your mind, you need to ignore. It's just simply not the reality. Whereas you heard Mrs. Poilievre talk about all of the strong independent females that have been tossed out of the Liberal Party for not agreeing with leadership. I just believe that if you look at Mark Carney, his wife is always one step back. He goes off the plane first. He goes onto the bus first. It's a big contrast between the two of them. And if your vote is based on that, if you can't tell yourself that you would rather have more money, if you tell yourself that you would rather have the people around you have good jobs and you want to have safe streets, if none of those things are important to you, and you just care about how your females might be treated under one party versus the other, I think you can see it right there. How when she spoke, he didn't bat an eyelash. He simply turned and listened just like everybody else in the room. I want to talk a little bit about Jagmeet Singh getting egg on his face again. This time it was done to him by what he believes to be his supporters, the union. Now, for the last couple of days, Jagmeet has been shadowing Mark Carney. They've been in the same city like 3 times. It's almost like Jagmeet's catching a ride on Mark's plane or something, right? So they were both in Windsor, and Jagmeet got off the bus, and I want to play it directly from the bus. So I sped up a lot of it because it was a long walk. It took him like 5 minutes. I sped up a lot of it. And then I want to point to where they just basically threw egg in his face. I mean, so he gets off the bus and I thought, wow, there's nobody there. Like, what did he even get off the bus for? But it turns out that the union had a rally for him couple of 100 yards away, so he starts walking. Now you'll see here he comes up on the union and they're handing out flags so they can make their crowd look a lot bigger. They're standing in spaces and they're being placed in spots. However, there's one guy that Jagmeet figures is his long lost friend, and he wants to give him a hug and all of that stuff, and then they take a picture together. Oh man.
Yeah. Hello everyone. You got it. Jagmeet, how's it going? Welcome to Keep running into each other. What's up, bro? How are you?
Now, if you watch right here, you'll see that Jagmeet has got his arms out like he's going to meet his long lost brother. He's giving a hug to the guy. The guy's giving him a hug back. All right, so we got that, right? Okay, let's just watch what happens.
How you doing,
Oh, I'm sorry. So there he is. He gets ready. He's taking that picture, and the guy's wearing a shirt that says elbows up. Oh, there he is wearing a shirt that is got the slogan of the Liberal leader on it. I mean, you have to wonder, is Jagmeet finally ready to give the Conservatives a majority? Like, if he could go back and change time, do you think that he would be like, you know what, let's do it right now. Let's have this election right now. Or do you figure he's still quite happy with the way things have turned out? As I was saying, the Liberals and the NDP have been in the same town for a few days now. Like, they've been at the same stops. So the Mark Carney was also in Windsor on the same day, and I thought, well, let's have a look at the crowd that he got, because the union has obviously turned out with their flag for Jagmeet Singh, the auto union. Let's see what they're doing over at the Mark Carney side of the equation. I didn't know if I'd get burned for the music that was playing in the background. And so I just took it from the way the guy that you saw was the man that introduced him. He said, like, here's Mark Carney. And then you could see the camera and the RCMP officers. Carney's kind of small, so he's hard to see over the crowd. However, I didn't think it that big of a crowd. And their signs all said, well, from what I could read on the French side, it translates to never 51. So they weren't protect our jobs. This crowd was still all about somehow that annexation is going to be the top priority for this election. It wasn't a very big crowd, though. I didn't find that either of them were a very big crowd. And I'm hoping that it indicates that people just want to have decent jobs, and they believe that net zero. And I mean, can you imagine what the auto industry is going to look like when Mark Carney demands that we can only use Canadian steel inside of cars that are being sold inside of Canada, and none of them can be combustion engines. They all have to be electric. Just imagine in your mind what kind of a job that is going to be for somebody, and how quickly the plants that are set up for all of the opposite of what I just described are going to be shut down. I mean, Never 51. It seems to me that if you let that go for a couple of years, people will be begging for entrance into the economy of the United States, if only to escape the ridiculous environmental madness of the far left. I mean, if only for no other reason. Because no matter where you go in the world, people need jobs. And Mark Carney's philosophy seems to only be making him rich, and the rest of us are going to be in a bad way. But I'll leave that for a different video. I want to wrap here. I'm going to thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.